Hello, this is Lynn Fraser with Still Point Yoga. This practice has some concentration in the root chakra, and whenever we work with energies in the chakra system, it's always good to go at a pace that's suitable for us. If working with your attention in that area generates fear or a strong emotion, please just stop the practice, open your eyes, notice your breath, and notice that you're still okay. Oftentimes when we're looking at, for instance, an image that has a real pull, it might draw us into the image and we get kind of involved in it, and we forget that actually we're looking at an image. It's one of the ways that we can work with strong trauma or strong energies is to keep in mind that we're working with an image or a memory that represents something that happened in the past and that's not happening right now. And if things are starting to get too intense, just always take care of yourself. Open your eyes, ground back into the breath, into your body. Notice that everything's okay. And don't ever work aggressively with yourself. There's never any benefit to being aggressive with these practices. If you're concerned about something or have questions, consult a local qualified teacher, yoga or meditation teacher, or you can send me an email and I'm happy to chat about it too. We're going to do a sitting practice. So make sure that you're seated in a way that you've got lots of room to breathe. When we're doing part of the practice, you'll need to be able to really work with the lower part of your stomach area. So just let that be present there. You may need to sit forward on your chair or sit upright anyway. Let's start with noticing what's in the environment right now. So when we tune into the environment, we tune into the physical body, the space the body is in, and how it is that we're sitting in the space. So we experience that a little bit differently if we're lying down than if we're sitting up, if we're comfortable, if we're not comfortable, if we're tired, if we're wired. We have that experience in the body. There's no right or wrong way to have our experience or to be feeling. It's simply that we're looking to see what is in the environment right now. And part of that environment is physical, the Annamaya Kosha, the body made of food. So there's the muscles and bones and blood and guts. We've been working on digestion, so part of our attention is in the area of the whole digestive system. And there's the energy, the energetic feel to our experience at any given moment. Part of that energy is what's happening in the mind. The thought stream can be a little stirred up, it can be quite calm, it can be angry, there could be all kinds of things going on there. Sometimes there's rapid trains of thought, other times there's a bit more space. And there's the environment of the breath as well. The breath reflects what's happening in the body and the mind. And by tuning into the breath, we can have an effect on the body and the mind as well. So as you're noticing the flow of breath in the nostrils, allow that flow to become more even length of exhalation and inhalation, and continuous and smooth. So when you finish an exhale, move smoothly into the inhale. At the end of an inhale, smoothly into the exhale. We can't breathe in the past and we can't breathe in the future, so the breath is often a good anchor into the present moment. We can also notice the breath in the body, further down in the chest, the diaphragm, the stomach area. The breath moves the body as it comes in and out. So aware of ourselves on these levels, the physical body, the energy and breath, the thought stream, and the higher level of the mind, the intuitive mind. Notice how it is that we're observing. There's the observation of the body and the energy in the breath, the observation of the thought stream. And sometimes we get completely absorbed in what it is that we're thinking or feeling, and then we forget that we're wrapped up in content somehow. And then at other times we're able to have that perspective of witnessing. And also to be aware of the more subtle space in which this is arising to be witnessed. Being aware of the witnessing itself, of the space of all of this, the space of awareness. And bring your attention to your digestive system. In the human body, it starts in the mouth, goes down through the throat, the esophagus into the stomach. There's some digestive processes that happen in the stomach. We've been working with Agni, the digestive fire. And then the food moves into the small intestines and the large colon, and then is eliminated through the anus. So noticing even as we bring our attention to that, there's probably images of the different parts of the body perhaps as we go down through the body, noticing them. There's also sensation. If we've recently eaten, we might have the taste of some food in our mouth, or if we've had a drink. There might be a sensation of emptiness, fullness, something in the actual stomach. And we can locate where that is through that sensation. Often we tend to think of the stomach as being kind of the navel center and below, but the stomach's actually just under the diaphragm. It's a little bit higher than what we might be visualizing. And then noticing if there's any sensation in the abdomen that seems to be physical. Sometimes the stomach will growl, which is usually really the intestines growling. There could be a variety of sensations. There could be inflammation. There could be kind of nothing. There could be a sense of pressure. There could be all kinds of things. So tune your awareness into the, kind of from the stomach down to the pelvic floor. And the three chakras in that area, the navel center and the root chakra at the base and the one in the middle that relates to sexuality and reproduction. Those three chakras are related to survival and to physical manifestation. That's where the polyvagal system works with the more primitive survival system, is in this lower part of the guts. And this is why when we feel fear, we'll often feel it in the navel center and in the lower part of the belly, the solar plexus even above the navel center. So this area is a place where we have this intuitive sense of safety or threat. From the heart center up is a later stage of development in human beings. There's more of the conscious mind involved. There's more the feeling, less to do with primitive survival and more to do with later evolution. So as we're just noticing the environment inside, noticing the environment particularly from the navel center to the root chakra. 80% of the messages between the brain and the body go from this area in the guts up to the brain. And a lot of that is perception of threat, safety, danger. We even have words like, it was just my gut instinct. So notice that the intuitive layer of the mind also includes this intuition that comes from this part of our body. And tune in if there's any sensation, any perception of threat or fear in particular right now. Notice how it appears, where it appears. Very often there are images associated with that feeling or sensation of fear. It's like our body, mind, brain is warning us of something. Making sure that we're paying attention, that we're perceiving threat when it exists. In this environment of feeling safe or feeling fear or feeling under some kind of threat has an influence on how we digest our experiences as well. There's sometimes a feeling of contraction or thoughts about, I can't handle this, or this is too much, that often have a resonance with sensation here in this area. And keep in touch with your breath, noticing that anything that might be coming up to be seen is coming up in this location, in the physical body as we're sitting here. And it comes up in a certain type of sensation. For instance, fear might be felt as in a certain way, primarily by you. There could be certain qualities to the sensation, maybe a feeling of contraction or a black hole or something like this, that we have very habitual ways of experiencing. One of the good things about that is that we can be mindful of those and notice when they come up, and then turn our attention towards them as we're doing now. And notice what it is that makes us feel or helps us feel more grounded and more steady. Oftentimes, when people focus on the breath and relax the stomach muscles, they feel a sense of relief. Focusing on the breath, for most people, is relaxing and calming. There are some times when it's triggering, and if that's the case, then we wouldn't want to be exacerbating that effect by continuing to focus on it. But if it's not triggering more anxiety for you to focus on the breath, then just notice the breath and how the body moves. And bring your attention to the root chakra, to the base of the pelvis, and sensing this subtle body energy in the Mula Bandha, right around the perineum area, just a little bit higher than the actual muscles. But bring some attention to the perineum, the pelvic floor, and before we begin the practice, bring a bit of activation into the root lock, the Mula Bandha. So one of the instructions is to activate that area without tensing anything in the surrounding muscles. So it's all a little bit subtle and just something to continue to work with. Don't worry if it seems a bit awkward or not doable at the moment. And then keeping this little bit of activation going on through the Mula Bandha, the perineum area, begin to work with the breath in the squeezing as you exhale, starting to contract the lower belly and then release on the inhale. If you've worked with it enough so that you can isolate the muscles, then work with that kind of rolling motion. Exhale with the lowest part of the belly, and then the muscles a few inches higher than that, a little bit higher than that, always staying at the navel center or below. On the inhale, reverse that in the order of top part of the muscles, the middle part, and then the part right at the pelvic bone. And as always with anything, if something feels too intense or it's not right for you today, then just continue to breathe and observe and don't do the practice. And if you're doing the practice, really focus on that smoothness, the continuity of the breath. And as you're finishing the exhale, check to see if your toes are relaxed, your eyebrows, your shoulders. If there are any images coming up, you can put those aside just for a moment to keep on focusing on the practice. But remember, you could always go back and have a look at them later. If it's quite compelling, you could set aside the practice for a moment and look at the image, see what's going on with that. It's natural when we are paying attention in a certain part of the body that there could be images or ideas, words come up. And notice how you feel right now in terms of safety or threat. We've got this engagement of the root lock, this rhythmic squeeze and release of the muscles at the front of the abdomen. And notice right now if you feel safe. And if you do, notice how that's coming up, how it is that you're feeling safe. Maybe it's an absence of something, maybe it's the presence of something. And if there's fear coming up, notice how that's arrived. How is it that you know that fear is here? Could be sensation, words, images. And along with whatever experience of fear or safety, notice that the breath continues to move in your body. thought continues to flow in the thought stream. The environment that you're in right now very likely hasn't changed in terms of safety or threat. And the experience of it can come and go. And we can notice our experience. Sometimes we'll have a sensation that seems to feel kind of threatening, for instance, a sensation of the throat closing. And then we can notice that the air is actually still getting through. Even though we can have quite a strong sensation, it doesn't actually make our throat close up. So noticing whatever sensations are present for you right now from head to toes. Focusing in more closely on the digestive system and let your breath come back to a normal pattern. Let go of the squeezing, the release. Breathe normally. Notice how your whole stomach area feels from the navel center down to the perineum, the pelvic floor. We've just been doing this practice. These practices always have an effect. So notice what feels the same, what feels different, what is the environment now in that part of your body. Notice the navel center, if the Agni or the digestive fire seems to have changed at all. So we're observing these layers of experience, the physical body, the energy and breath, the thought stream, the higher intuitive level of the mind, which is all through the body, and especially there's this gut instinct that's situated in the lower part of the abdominal area. And that higher level of knowing that isn't really located. It's more of a sense of knowing. And being present with that and with the space in which this is all arising to be seen. Look to see if there's any discernible difference in the space in which this is arising. Notice if it feels like that space is being affected. When we tune into that space that we observed at the beginning of the practice, the space of awareness, the space in which this content is arising, in which the body is arising. Notice if it feels any different, if it's being changed by the coming and going of sensation in the body. By the changing content in the mind. And that's a conceptual way of saying something that's not related to words. So notice in your own experience. Allowing all of this to be present, opening your eyes and noticing the visual field comes back. Looking around the room, notice your experience now of safety or of threat. There might be pictures or other things in the visual field that are a bit triggering. We can look at that too. Or maybe you're noticing there's this space and there's color and shapes in the space. There's no right or wrong way to have our experience. And during the day, try and touch back in a little bit with this feeling in the gut. Notice the experience in that part of the body.